You want the secret to your best life? I'll give it to you. Very simple. Here we are. Live more like a child, not like an animal. You are not born a mouse or a pig, so stop living like one. You see, most people are a slave to survival. They're being run completely by their survival instincts. Why do you do this? And that makes life a struggle. But the more fun you have, the more you play, well then that's not a struggle. And life was a game meant to be played. When you live from survival, your whole life is rooted in fear. Fear of the future, fear of the past repeating itself. I don't know how I'm going to make my bills this week. I don't know how I'm going to eat. How am I going to provide? I have to work and slave away. This is my only option. This is basically what God told Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Once they ate from the tree, He said, "Not good. Now you will have to slave away your life. You will toil the dirt and you will get nothing." And so, from that point on, we've been struggling ever since. What does this mean? It means that when humanity woke up, when our brains started developing a stronger sense of self, which is separation and individuality, human beings woke up into a nightmare. We became a separate individual in a hostile environment. Because if you've ever seen a nature documentary, everything is eating and killing each other. And it's not that bad when you're not really thinking about it, but once you start thinking about it, bad. Because now you have to worry about getting eaten by a grizzly bear in the future. And this too is why our animal body is not designed to live in this modern society. That is why so many people struggle. Is because, well, there's no longer any grizzly bears, but your grizzly bears are now your thoughts. Fear about the future, worrying about things. Doesn't matter what it is, it's fear and worry, and it sends you into a state of fight or flight. So many people are living from survival mode. So their energy is constantly being drained, and that is why people are exhausted all the time. It's because they're forcing themselves to live a life they don't want to live. They're slaves. They're not free, so they have no power. And when you're cut off from your inner power, you're cut off from life itself. When you're cut off from your soul, you become the living dead. And that is why you should live more like a child, my friend. Because children don't have all of this nonsense conditioning. They're tapped into their soul. They're tapped into source. And so they're full of life. And then eventually the adults come along and say, "No, you have to be like me, miserable. Don't have fun, don't play. You have to make money. You have to work to survive." Because guess what? Survival instincts aren't just for ourselves. They're for our offspring as well. So unconsciously, we condition the future generations to be slaves like us as well. You don't even have to blame the society or the system or the matrix. We do it to ourselves. There is no outside force controlling us. How easy is it to enslave the masses when the masses just naturally enslave themselves? Like little crabs in a bucket. Oh, you think you're going to get out? No, pull you back in. Now you're going to be boiled with the rest of us. Do not be boiled. Not good. So many people are getting boiled. Here you are, boiled. The reason people get stuck is because it's a slow boil. It's not that hot in the beginning until eventually, oh, you're too exhausted to get out. That is what the system, that is what life does to us. Or should I say, that is what our own mind does to us. Day by day, chips away at us, breaking us down, destroying our hope, and leaving us discouraged. A slow exhaustion, death by 1,000 cuts, of just one moment at a time, cutting yourself off from your soul. A lot of people seem to sacrifice their dreams on the altar of practicality. I have to deal with these practical things, and so I cannot live my dreams. It is not possible. It is possible, I tell you. But you have to become free from your mind. You have to jump out of the boiling pot. Ah, nice and cool. Let me draw you a face. Much better. This boiling pot is your mind. And the boiling water is like all of your negative thoughts, and your worries and your fears about the future, and regrets about the past, and all the shame and all the guilt and all the things that bring you down. We trap ourselves in these little boxes, and most people never leave. And this box is identity. We get so attached to our stories about who we believe we are and about life, and that is what enslaves us, nothing else. The only prison in existence is your own mind, and you imprison yourself with your thoughts. The walls are solidified through your belief, and the stronger you believe your thoughts, the stronger the walls are. And so you see, it doesn't matter what you think is true, because the universe is perfectly balanced between negativity and positivity. So there's an infinite abundance of negativity always. It's just, where are you focusing? So when you believe something negative, when you believe a negative story about yourself, about life, it is true for you, because that's what you're focusing on. But it's equally positive. You don't have to focus on this, but because you believe it's true, you think, oh, that's just the way it is. You stay stuck in a prison. But this is how you become free. You begin breaking down these walls by stop entertaining negative garbage from everybody, from the world, and especially from yourself. Because nobody has any control over what you think or what you believe. We allow things to happen. We allow our attention to drift toward negativity. And then it becomes a habit, and then it becomes an identity, and then we become stuck. Because we don't know how to change. And oftentimes we just don't like change. We don't want to change. But this is the culprit. Because think about children. They don't have such a strong identity. That is why they are free. So the more you can begin letting go of your attachments to these beliefs and these stories and these ideas, the more free you become. Because the box makes you claustrophobic, your own body. And so you want to start breaking out of the box. The box, however, is a survival mechanism. Because if you can live in this box, you can at least say, okay, I know reality enough so that I'm not just going to randomly get eaten. As long as I stick in the box, everything will be okay. But the moment you jump outside the box, you enter into the unknown. So you have the known and the unknown. And in the unknown is death, chaos. And that is why we don't go out there. It's like you got a little fire going, but around you is the dark forest. But if you just stay around the fire your whole life, that's not an adventure. You're not a hero. You're just a loser. Not you, of course. But many people stay stuck in these little boxes because they're too afraid to venture out into the unknown and have an adventure. They play it safe. They allow their animal body, their survival instincts to consume them, and that will make you miserable. You see, like half of the 7 deadly sins are an overindulgence in your animal instincts. Why? Because if you were meant to be an animal, you would have been born one. So if you're eating all your time stuff in your face, you're wasting your energy. You're wasting your potential as a human being. If you're always obsessed with lust and things like that, the sexual instinct, you're wasting your potential. And so too, if you spend all your time surviving, that is a waste of life. You see, all our suffering comes from ignorance, and that is the belief in separation. And the mind is what gives us that illusion, the sense of individuality. But when you think about God, for instance, well, God, by definition, is everywhere, always. And if God is everywhere, always, that means God is right here, right now, forever. Which also means that God can never be separated from you. And here lies the whole problem, is that people believe that they are separate from God because of the illusion that their mind creates. And that is why you see almost every atheist fits under the same archetypal pattern. They're highly intellectual, rational types. They have a strong mind, so they are the ones deepest in ignorance and illusion. But because of their heightened intelligence, they have pride and arrogance. They believe they're better than others, subconsciously or not. And this prevents them to see that their so-called superpower is just as much a weakness, because true power is in surrender, not in control. And control is the whole name of the game for the mind. And you see, the more you are attached to your identity of who you believe you are, the deeper you are in ignorance and the deeper you are in separation, and the further you stray from God. And God is the source of all peace, love, and joy. You see, these are in fact the default state the underlying substratum of reality is joy, love, peace. But what happens is that we have these different layers on top, created by the mind. Those are layers of beliefs and stories and ideas and identities. And so we become separated from our true nature. We are all born enlightened, but we become endarkened through the conditioning of our experience. That is why I like to say the ego is like a dark cloud that covers up the light and the warmth of the sun. So it separates you from these things, and you can tell right now to what degree you're separated from this by how much you suffer on a daily basis. And that will show you how much you are attached to all these kinds of different identities and stories. And simply by letting go of them, the light and the warmth of the sun begins to shine forth once again. And you enter into that childlike state of freedom, peace, love, and joy, and having fun. You realize that life was always taking care of you no matter what, that you're not the one that has to do everything. But if you can surrender and trust and have faith, the path will be revealed to you of what to do next. And you don't have to place all of the burdens of the world upon yourself. That is why a lot of people suffer. It's because they're carrying this big bag of rocks on their shoulders all the time. And so life gets exhausting. You burn out, you're tired. You don't even want to play this game anymore because it's not fun. It's not fun when you're taking it so seriously. But the thing is that the world really gets our attention. So most religious practices have to do with becoming free from the grip of your senses, because the senses make everything feel so real. This is true. This is the nature of reality. This is the real world. And it's not necessarily. In fact, I would say that children live more in the real world than adults, because God is that which is most true. And what is most true is eternal. And so we get so caught up with our temporary little lives and the temporary little things that we got going on, and we make that our God. Yes, the government is God. The bills I have to pay is God. Money is God. Worshipping false idols? Naughty, naughty. I think it's time for me to get out the swords. I shall not tolerate your heresy anymore. And you see, the true nature of things in the world is dust. Literally. The earth and everything on it is made up of the same stardust. That is the true, scientifically verified nature of reality. But do we experience ourselves as energy, frequency, or vibration? No. We experience ourselves like human beings, just doing our thing. And you can see, oh, this is a whiteboard, and that's a light. And this is a cool guy on YouTube. No. Our true nature is energy. And that is what it means to live in ignorance, to be unaware of this fact. And you see, everybody lives their whole lives believing with 100% certainty that they are the person they say they are. And there's not even a shred of doubt in any universe that could even fathom the truth that was not actually you. We spend our whole lives believing we are the ego, and in an instant it can be dissolved. And what happens in life is that the more we're attached to the mind and ego, life is just going to continue to beat us down and destroy everything until we finally humble ourselves and say, yep, I guess that wasn't the truth. I guess I wasn't that person. And you see, there's this thing called the trickster, often thought of as the shadow side of the eternal child. And what it does is that every time you start thinking you're somebody, it comes along and says, you thought. And so the moment you start thinking you're more spiritual than you are, the trickster is going to come along and sabotage you in some way and make you behave like an animal and remind you, oh, you're not spiritual, you're a human, and you're a messy little animal, because those identities need to be cut away, because they are what separates you from God. Another example is if you spent 20 years in a certain career, like being a banker, the trickster finally comes along and says, okay, let's just destroy everything. Everything you believed, everything you want, let me burn down your house or something. I'm just going to destroy your life so you can stop pretending to be this made-up character. And it will do that. It will do whatever it takes to get you to wake up, to get you to snap out of the nonsense. Because oftentimes we're so caught in it that only something dramatic can snap us out of it, can wake us up. And that is the trickster's job, to wake us up, to remind you that you are not who you believe you are. And so the pathway forward is simple. Ask yourself this: what is it that is keeping you from having fun? And whatever you come up with, realize that it's just a belief. It's just a thought. It's a thought prison. And you can walk out anytime you wish. But the stronger you believe in whatever thought that came up, that is what is keeping you from having fun. Because you think you can't be free only because you believe you are a slave to something. And it is true. Most people are a slave to something, but not what they think. They're a slave to the belief. They're a slave to the thought. They're a slave to this made-up idea of who they think they are. And at any time, you can just drop it. You can begin choosing not to believe in this anymore. And what this means is you're becoming the more authentic version of you and taking off these masks that you have been wearing. It's like a monkey in a tuxedo. Our parents in society put the tuxedo on us, the monkey. And we hate it, and we're uncomfortable. But everybody's loving us and taking pictures. Oh, you're so wonderful. Oh, congratulations. You went to college? Wow. Maybe you didn't want to go to college. Maybe you spent 10 years doing something that your parents programmed into you, or society. Or you were pressured into doing something you didn't want to do. And you know how much freedom comes when that monkey finally rips off the tuxedo and says, I'm not playing your games anymore. Lots of freedom. Great pressure is released. You realize that it's okay to have fun. It's okay to enjoy your experiences. That life is in fact made to be enjoyed. It's not made to slave away. But what happens is that, well, taking off the tuxedo means that you were naked. And we fear the judgment of others, which is why we keep the tuxedo on. That is why Adam and Eve covered themselves up after they ate the fruit, because they now had a strong sense of individuality. So they become embarrassed. Fear of judgment. But you got a price to pay. Two choices, in fact. You either pay the price to become free, or you pay the price of remaining a slave. On this side, you choose fear. On this side, you choose love. On this side, you remain repressed. On this side, you become free. You are able to express yourself fully for who you are. And in the same light, you become authentic, the authentic version of you. Or you remain wearing these masks, keeping the tuxedo on, being who others want you to be, to fit in. And over here, well, you're going to risk judgment. You're going to risk criticism. And you're going to risk people not liking you. And so that is the price you have to pay. You have to decide which one you want. Do you just need people's approval? And so you can repress your own authenticity. You can cut yourself off from your soul to be liked. And the consequences of that is, well, you're going to be miserable your whole life. And you're going to suffer. But at least you get to pretend to be safe. And this, you enter into the unknown, but you tap in to your source, to your soul, to freedom, love, peace, and joy. And after this, it doesn't matter so much what happens, because you can just enjoy life as it is, because you can enjoy yourself. Your relationship with life is nothing more than your relationship with yourself. If you hate yourself, you're going to hate life. It's like being sick, having the flu. It doesn't matter what you do, everything sucks. You try and eat your favorite food and you want to throw up. You try to go to the gym and it sucks. That is what it's like to be living with the enemy, your own mind. To have your entire reality filtered, or you could say experienced, living in this little box. Strange fellow. And what the great thing is that you can enter into this side one step at a time. First, you just begin gaining some awareness. Where are you choosing fear? And when are you choosing love? And the more aware you become, the more you'll see these turning points where you watch yourself entertain fear. And then you wake up and then you say, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to choose love. And then you break off into a new and better life, one step closer to your more authentic self. There's something that you have to do, that you're really dreading doing, that you don't really want to do, but you feel like you have to. And maybe you do, but maybe it's not as big of a thing as you think. And you can just say, well, I was gonna do that, but how about no? How about I don't do that? Because I don't want to. This is like developing your inner rebel, because you have to break away from the chains, from the system that you're stuck in, the little box. And in order to break free, you have to betray the box. You gotta start breaking it down, which means you start rebelling from this long list that you have of should and should nots. I should live my life this way, I should not do these things. And if I do the things I know I should be doing, then I'm a good person. And if I do the things I don't should be doing, then I'm a bad person. Just stop it. It's just mind stuff. If you surrender to the present moment and just live from this space, you'll naturally do the right things. And even when you make a mistake, you'll learn. So it doesn't matter. You won't be thinking about all the problems in your life. You won't be thinking about all the things you have to do, because a lot of the times what makes us suffer so much is not what actually happens to us, it's just our thoughts. Think about the idea of forcing yourself to go to the gym every day. Oh, well, I gotta be healthy, so I wanna go to the gym, but I hate the gym, I don't wanna go to the gym, but then I'm gonna force myself to do it. So you feel like a slave, and you don't enjoy it. But what you find is that, well, in the morning time, you might have a feeling, oh, I don't feel like doing nothing today. And then you start thinking about it. Oh, well, I don't want to go to the gym. I'm not motivated to go to the gym, so I'm not going to go to the gym. And then you play this game in your mind with yourself, and oh, well, maybe I should. I know I should, but then I'm probably not going to. And then you wrestle with yourself. It's just all nonsense. Stop it. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Just because you don't feel like doing something now doesn't mean you're not going to feel like it 5 minutes from now. Your emotions are always changing. But what happens with our mind is that we make conclusions about things. I don't feel like going to the gym in this moment, so I'm not going today. But if you just turned your mind off and just started doing your day, you built momentum, eventually you would just find yourself walking outside the door. The mind causes you to hesitate. The mind causes you to procrastinate. But if you just return your focus to the present moment and do what's in front of you, naturally what needs to be done will be done. And this is how children live. They live in the present moment. They're always in flow with life. Doesn't mean they don't experience problems and struggles and difficulties. It doesn't mean you won't either. But you'll flow through life with grace. Whereas most people are just getting dragged along and it's really ugly. So escape from your mind and return to your body. Become present, become grounded in this moment. And when you live from this place, connected deeply to life, life becomes magical once again, and that spark returns to you. So I like to say life can only be experienced in the present moment, and the more you're separated from the present moment, the less you are truly living. Hi, I'm Ray. These are my cool stories. And if you feel stuck on your journey, come talk to me. And also, I encourage you to join our free community. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, just be, especially.